We're rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed!
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool frosty beer while we're doing it. I'm your host, Kristen Ellinger, and stuck with me, as always,
Kristen Ellinger.
And to my left,
Emily Harpel.
And so a couple ladies in the nerd room, which is exciting because it's a rare occurrence. So thank you, ladies, for joining me today. It's sad to report Jeremiah's not with us. It's the first time. I'm a little sad.
It's very
But
sad that he's not feeling well.
It's not feeling well. We wish him the best, but he'll be back again. And so today, I always talk way too much. We're gonna review Wonder Woman. I have our nerd play game, but first, let's get to the best part of the show. My favorite part. The beer. Clearly, ladies. So, let's look at it. We are drinking, I'm not used to having to do all this, Flesh and Blood IPA, 7.5%. It's from Dogfish Head Brewery, which just doesn't sound appealing. And it's from Milton, Delaware. Where all exciting things take place.
Kristen said the can looked appealing, though. She wanted to eat the can all week.
Well,
Yeah.
drink the beer in the can.
I commented last week that it kind of looks like a V8 Splash. Is that right? Or V8 Fusion? Whatever the one with fruit in it.
Less disgusting than the original
Yes.
recipe.
More sugar, less sodium.
Ugh.
It's probably got both.
Just a tomato. Ugh.
Yeah. So, admire it first. What do you think?
It's a lot clearer than the last one I had on the show.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful color.
It is very nice ambery color. It's very clear. It smells malty, in my opinion. What do you think? Do you get any smells there? Any odors?
It smells like beer.
Huh?
Right. I don't have a refined palate. I just drink it. So
All right. Well, I'm trying to make up for Jeremiah because he's the beer guy. And I'm going to do my best. I think it smells malty, if I have to say so. Very much. I think it might be kind of sweet.
I would say it smells sweet.
Yeah. Well, let's give it the real test and dump it into our mouths. To all the nerds, through all the fuzz, bottoms up, let's get nerd buzzed.
Yay.
Yep, everybody, there we go. It's it's kind of different. You can definitely taste the what is it? The blood orange. Right, kind
It's
of.
very drinkable. I'm gonna dump it in my mouth, as you said. Just
Well, you can continue to.
I'm not gonna down this whole thing right now.
It's kind of sweet. It's definitely malty, but
It has
I
like
think-
a tartness at the end.
yeah, which I think is that blood orange.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
The
definitely in there.
citrusiness to it.
It's kind of interesting.
It's different.
For 7.5%, it's not quite as sweet as I thought it might be.
I taste, it says it has orange peel and lemon flesh. I can taste that in it.
The lemon
You can
flesh.
taste
The
the
lemon
flesh.
flesh.
We should ask, Kristen, is it all you'd hoped for? You've been waiting all week.
I have. It was in the refrigerator, and I really wanted to drink it, and it's good.
Is it 7 days of pining?
I don't know that it's 7 days of pining worth, but we'll talk about that later.
Was it like 7 days before Christmas? It's not quite that good.
Not quite. I don't know. I like it. We'll see.
All right,
See
well,
how
we're
it-
gonna-
No ruby red.
Yeah, no ruby red squirt, because that's what it reminds me of.
We will keep drinking it, and I'm sure it's going to get better because that's what happens when you drink beer, right? So first up, our nerd play. We got our games for this month. Every month, PlayStation gives us some free games that we pay for with our online subscription, and we pick one, we play it. We're going to play Life is Strange this month, and it actually might be one that Kristen's not totally opposed to playing. She's dabbled in a few of them with me. Yeah?
And
Look
some
at,
Life is
she's
Stranges?
she's so excited about it that she's speechless.
Life is Strange already?
No.
Oh.
I've played a couple of the nerd play games.
Yeah, but I think this one might be kind of appealing. It's like a third-person adventure. You can go through time and change what the course that things that happen. It's about a photographer chick that
I might like
strange
it then.
things start happening. It's very
I
story-based.
like photography.
Yeah, there you go.
Is there
right?
like fighting? I don't like
Is it like
fighting.
Pokemon Snap?
Yeah, just like it.
I
Just
really
like
dug
it.
Pokemon Snap.
So we're going to play that for the month. Play it with us. And also, I have to say, if you're watching the YouTube, please shrink the screen because I'm sure it's full size. Hit subscribe. Totally helps us out. If we get 100 subscribers, we get our own channel. It'd be awesome. And you can support us on Patreon. Donate $1 a month. You get a free episode every month. Bonus episode. And, well, okay, it's not free. It costs you $1. I totally just lied. And we're working with the Loot Cave. Go there, check them out, lootcave.com. You can listen to the Nintendo Powercast and the Lootcast. And that's pretty much it. Let's get into the meat of the show. We just got back from watching Wonder Woman. So it seemed important to have some women on the show with us, some lovely ladies, to help represent the ladies, because that's, we watch Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Lovely ladies, not Wonder Women.
You guys don't want to be Wonder Women?
I just like the alliteration that you stuck with it.
Okay, nice.
It's one of his favorite things.
I am also a big fan of alliteration.
Oh,
I agree. Yes. So, should we go to guests first?
Oh, God, no.
No? Okay. You want my rundown
Yes,
on
absolutely.
Wonder Woman?
I've been craving it all afternoon.
I think that it is the best DC movie so far.
Not saying
That's part of the DCEU. That's what they call their expanded universe. Yeah, and you're totally right. That's not saying much.
It's the first one to receive positive reviews from the critics.
It is.
Which is...
I have some issues with it, and I feel like we always go see something and then we talk about it, and I just tear everything apart. But I'm gonna have to do that a little bit with this one. I think there were moments in it that were super awesome. I thought the beginning of the movie was really slow. And I didn't really care too much about that when they were in Themyscira, right? And she was a little girl, and they were going through all that, and she was learning whatever. I did think it was pretty humorous how all of their action and their training was so stylized. It was like a photo shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that too. It didn't look, for how realistic some of the other fighting looked, that fighting had like the blurry edges, or like just didn't look real.
Yeah, and it was so like pretty, right? Everything about it was super pretty. I guess that's the point of the where she comes from, is that it's the ideal place you'd want to be. But I did think the movie really picked up after that, and it got a lot better. I got a very Captain America kind of mixed with Thor vibe from it. Yes, anybody agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because both of them, they enter into a wartime period, one of the great, World War II and World War I. So.
And even in the end of the movie, Steve is flying the crazy new plane, and there's this ominous dooming thing happening, and that is the end of Captain America. And it's even Steve.
Yeah, that's
right. I kept thinking that at the end. I was like, this is so Captain America.
They should just made that Captain America.
Right? You can't do that. It's a licensing issue. That'd just be a whole other headache, right?
I like it.
It's an origin movie. I have an issue with origin movies. I think origin movies, they always take forever to get to they always give you so many reasons why the character becomes a superhero.
I don't think you have so many issues with just origin stories. I think you have issues with any time a superhero is not being the superhero.
That's true.
You already know the story as to how they became who they are. You read it in the comics. You know all this. So you have a really hard time watching it. You just want them to be awesome right away.
Yeah, but I also don't want the other thing. Like, I don't want them just in their suit all the time, because I do want it to be validated that they are a superhero and, like, what their motivations are. But at the same time, I don't want them to be, like, stripped of their superhero stuff and taken to this human level so that we can all, understand and, I get it, and I can relate to it. And it's like, no, she's a superhero. She should just be a badass.
Do you struggle with, just like when superheroes are having a hard time and they have to just like you do, yeah, I'm getting a nod from your wife.
Yeah.
You don't like
who's heard all about it,
like
right?
the faulty superheroes, just like
So this movie didn't do one of my major complaints that I have with typically origin movies, especially, is that they find some way to like cripple the hero at the end of the movie. Like in the middle, it's all climactic. They finally get their power. They've accepted they're going to be this hero and go do their thing. And then they get like crippled in some way, so they can't reach that full potential. And then like the city will rise up and help them out or whatever. There'll be these other things that'll help them along the way. And we all now understand what it's like to be a hero and whatever. So they never did that in the movie. So I thought that was cool.
They kind of had a little bit of one where she wanted to turn her back. And then she saw her friends,
But it wasn't.
Yeah, but it wasn't like they stripped her. It wasn't like they like took her gauntlets away or like something like that. Like
although
the classic
he did break
one.
her sword.
That is true. Which is in the Justice League movie. I'm pretty sure. So I don't know what happens in between there. But she must not age, right? Because this took place in what
1918.
Yeah, something. Yeah, is that what they said? Did
Well,
they
it's
actually put a
World War
date? Okay, yes. Or yes, right? Really close to then.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then obviously more modern times because of the tie-in.
Yes, at the beginning,
Right.
Yeah.
And then,
The direct Batman sends her the photo of her standing there with Steve, whatever his last name was. I keep wanting to say Rogers.
It's not Rogers, yeah.
No, should have been. Every time I see that actor,
Taylor? No.
I don't
I
remember.
can't remember. Yeah,
Steve T.
yeah. Every time I see him, I just think Captain Kirk.
Right.
Every time. He's so Captain Kirk. It was the best role he ever played. But he did pretty good in this. I really thought the banter between them was pretty good. I thought the movie was balanced overall pretty well. But I really thought the beginning was slow. I thought it had some really, really cheesy scenes at the end. How about that eye candy, the final scene? That was terrible. Do you remember? When she leaped out the building and it was
Well, they
slow-mo,
always do that.
horrible green screen, her
But it's
approaching the
same
camera.
with, Spider-Man swinging over New York. It's like they
Yeah, but he always does
have
these
it.
cool, awesome. They totally leave you with the eye candy at the end of Spider-Man.
Right. It's superhero.
Yes,
sort of style, so.
it's cheesy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They're
Because what was
superheroes,
she going off to? She heard were they bombs in her head that she was hearing? And
I don't know.
because obviously it was all peaceful and
I think it was more of a blissful jump, but it was just her. I'm Wonder Woman now, right? She's gonna represent.
She was embracing
Yeah.
her role.
Her wonderness.
So you're supposed to give a number for this?
for the movie for
Are we
reviewing
supposed
it.
to do that?
Oh yeah, at the
If
end.
you're
Okay,
done
I'm just
reviewing
wondering.
Are you done talking about it?
No, I was just wondering. I wanted to think.
I
About
did
it.
get Jeremiah's review.
Okay,
He
right.
says that he would give it a 7.5 because
is
he did
pretty
watch
good.
it with us. Yeah, but I think it was actually pretty good. We did not give such a
It
high
is
praise to
between
the other
good
DC
and great,
movies.
really.
Yeah, if according to our chart, yes. So it gives you an idea.
Right. Yeah.
What did you guys think of the other DC movies?
I felt not the need to watch them because I knew they were so horrible. So
Oh, you didn't even watch
No,
them?
I
Oh,
haven't.
you did yourself a favor.
yeah, no, my
I
dad and I discussed it, but we're like, no, we're fine.
I had really high hopes. I went up to Canada over Easter and watched Batman versus Superman with Mallory. We went out of our way to see it. It was our goal to go and see that. And we both sat there and it was like, so did you like that? And I think neither of us wanted to say no, but we both ended up being like, yeah, no, it was no.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
It was not good.
And I think the Superman before it is okay. I think it's definitely better than Batman versus
The Man of
Superman.
Steel?
Yeah, Man of Steel. Right?
It was okay. It was
Yeah,
like,
it's
it was
enjoyable,
fine.
so, yeah.
It's fine. It's your classic cliche Superman movie. There wasn't really too much that was new there, but I thought overall it's fine. Batman vs Superman sucks. It's just terrible. We don't talk about it.
Yeah, it's the movie that never happened.
Yeah.
It's the movie that shall not be named.
But I do think DC is stuck now though because they've committed to this to the EU, their expanded universe. So they can't ignore those movies. But they also have to find this way to move on from them and establish something that's not garbage, right? And I do think Wonder Woman is the first step in that process.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, but they
No?
never really have something to build upon as opposed to having a huge pile of garbage.
Yeah, right.
That they're trying
You
to
have,
like
a
dig
a
through
nice
the rubble
foundation
for
sure.
something good.
It wasn't a perfect movie, but
When I heard
certainly, yeah.
Yeah, when I heard that Aquaman is going to go take place after the Batman vs Superman, this clearly took place before it. And so I liked that they kind of went back to kind of scrub away the turdiness and look at, we're aware and we're going to kind of try to clean up our act a little bit here. But again, I really went into it thinking it was going to be a little better than it was because I'd heard people say that they really enjoyed it and that she saves DC and all this and that. And I think it's, again, because it's origin movie and you're bringing in a new character and trying to bring back this universe they've made. I have a really hard time not looking at it as still emulating what Marvel's done.
Right, because they've had so much success. And also just building or having so many hopes build up upon it. You're going to go in there with such high expectations.
Right?
And
Well,
then you're going to have whatever you're expecting because obviously you are a huge buff about all these things. I don't know. So it's hard. It's kind of hard probably to win at this point because there's so much buildup about it.
Yeah. Well, and especially this one because they started saying good things.
Right.
Right? Like the other ones, it was clear from the trailers that the other ones were not awesome. And they weren't going to be awesome. And I could just tell before we even went to see them. And this one from the trailers, I got a little bit of that vibe. I was a little nervous when I went to go see it. But I actually came away, I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's super amazing. I don't know if it's quite as amazing as some people are saying about it.
Right.
But I do think it's a lot better than the others. And since we have the ladies here, what do you guys think as far as because I think some of the praise it's getting is because it's the female lead, right? And it's we're finally now have a female superhero. It's a female director, right? Broke the record for opening weekend sales by a female director, right? So, which is all huge things. But like, how do you guys feel as far as that goes? Being ladies and yeah. What do you think?
Do you want to say anything, Kristen? It's been a while. No? Okay. It's one of those things that we were talking about where it's like it's way too late in where we are in society that we're still having to address these barrier breakages. That anything that, you know, we're expecting this one movie to be so amazing, and if it wasn't amazing, then like women superhero movies are down the drain again. Whereas, so we've discussed that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's like to me. It has nothing to do with her being a woman or a woman director, unless those are factors in why this movie was so much better. Like, could that be it? It's because women are valuable contributors to what has been, you know, deemed sort of a male-dominated, you know, falsely, obviously, because there's so many women involved in so many different levels and so invested in superheroes and comic books and stuff like that. So,
I would say that, like, from the beginning, I think superheroes were mainly geared towards males, right?
Right, like I mean, comic books. And...
Yeah, like you're talking, like especially DC, because you're talking about going back. I mean, you're going way back with DC. They happened way before Marvel did, and they're like the root of the traditional superhero we know today came from DC, right? Superman is super iconic.
Imagine that.
But I mean, but we're going way far back, you know, into like I want to say even as far back as like the 30s or the 40s, right? Like really pretty far back. And I think it's funny that now they're in such a catch up, right? Like it started with them and now Marvel's just ran with it. Marvel has pretty much opted out of the single superhero origin anymore. Like everything has a cameo with another hero, right?
For sure, yeah.
Like even the new Spider-Man, all the trailers they have Iron Man in it. I'm sure Black Panther, that's another one coming up, which also will kind of deal with that issue because now you're dealing with, it's not so much gender issue, but now you're dealing with like the race thing. And now we have the black hero that's up front and all that. And I think all that stuff is awesome. And I do think that all genders and races and all that deserve their superhero. But in a way, when it's like catered to so much like that, I just don't want it to take away from the movie, right? Like don't do it just for the sake of doing it. Like also make a good movie around it.
Right. I guess it's hard to speak to this because we're all very white.
Yeah, right, totally.
Right. Yeah, but it's absolutely not taken away because you are celebrating what makes those characters so unique and different. Like the Black Panther is so unique because of where he comes from, right? Like, and his origins as, I mean, I'm not a comic book reader, but he was an actual prince, right? Or okay. Yeah. So just like that, and they have very strong like cultural heritage and everything, and he's pretty badass. So I mean, even if you look at like the Black Widow, she's technically like Russian, right? Like so those things, having all those in there,
Rachmaninoff or something, right?
Like,
yeah, very
it doesn't
Russian.
Take away from it. It gives it more of a level. As we're not all just, you know, Americans that can be in comic books. You know, white Americans aren't the only thing that are important to realize as to the contributions to. So.
Yeah, which I totally agree with all that.
Right. So I guess I haven't seen. I can't imagine it being something that's taking away from it because. Will you stop? Smile at me. I feel like you're just staring at me, and I haven't. Now I'm going to start talking and saying random gibberish.
I'm just enjoying your guys' conversation.
It is one, but it's hard for me to speak about race because I don't have those experiences. It's to not seeing my representation. I do as a woman.
Yeah, well, and I mean that's
right.
I guess that's where we're trying to relate from, right? It's like,
I guess I could see it like, and even in like some of the Marvel films or whatever, where women were starting to get a little bit of representation, but still definitely a background.
Yeah.
Right. And to see these women who are hardcore, like the Black Widow, to still not have her own movie.
Yeah.
Whereas she keeps being like a side character in other ones. So I don't know. It's maybe if that's something that Marvel will see, that this, with like the breaking of the, world record or whatever for the opening weekend. So they'll see that, people are interested, all genders are interested in seeing a woman-led movie, so superhero movie.
Yeah. Do you think maybe this paved the way for a Black Widow movie? Was this maybe the nudge? Because I think it's like that's been there on the, it's like tiptoed on the line, right? And they're waiting, they're not sure. And do you think this gave it the push?
I would hope so. Like I looked at before, but this movie has been in different variations of production since the late 90s. They've been trying to do a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
So you keep hearing that about Black Widow too, where it's like, oh, she's going to have her own movie, but not really. So I don't know. Maybe it will.
Yeah. Well, and I do think there's definitely something to be said when it comes to superhero movies, that not all heroes need a solo movie. Like some of my favorite origins.
Or 3.
Yeah, like 3 solo movies. Yeah, right? Like I don't ever want Hulk to have a solo movie. I don't think he ever needs a solo movie. He needs to be with another hero and be that supporting character in a movie. I'm super excited for the Thor one with him, right?
Right. He's had a couple, right?
Yeah, and they're garbage.
Right.
They're terrible.
Like
they're not good. So just quit doing it, right? and I think that what is the one Winter Soldier? Mm-hmm. I don't think Winter Soldier would have been nearly as good without Black Widow in it.
Right. Yeah, that's what it was. And that was one that was kind of a mini Avengers one, kind of, right?
Yeah. That's like,
there's been a couple of them, where it's just call them Avengers movies.
Yeah, right? Kind of just keep the name Avengers, and they maybe have them all, maybe they don't, but yeah.
Right, totally. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess the last one Marvel did that didn't have a cameo was Doctor Strange. I don't believe there was another hero in Doctor Strange.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. You didn't go see it?
You went and saw it without me.
It doesn't sound familiar. It's kind of like a...
I think it was their last like true origin, no other anybody showing up in it. Yeah. I don't know if Black Widow needs a movie.
I feel like with Black Widow, it's almost a compliment that they have her as a cameo in all of these movies to come and like save the day. Like really, without her, would they be as successful? So really, she's the biggest supporter and the biggest hero of them all.
Are women only heroes because they're supportive of the male lead?
Okay,
right?
I knew
now
you'd take it there the second I said that, and like, I'm not really willing to get into that defense.
Well, you don't have to. It's just something. I'm not trying to like attack you for. It's just something to consider. Like, are these movies seeing women as supporters, and that's what makes them so strong? Like, which obviously isn't true, you know. But
and I think the underlining thing is obviously the dollar, right? This is what's driving all these movies. Is the bottom is the dollar price, what they make, right? And so if your viewing audience isn't going to go see the female lead movie, whereas if they were in it and they could still have that character, but they're more of a supporting character, but the movie sold for more, that's what they care about.
Right, but it's kind of like don't they deserve the chance to have a terrible box office showing? I suppose they have with some. There's obviously some, but it's like...
The worst one I can think of was Catwoman.
Right, that was
right?
awful.
That was with Halle Berry. That was so bad.
So bad. I mean, there are...
Yeah, Electra wasn't good.
If you compare the number of female leads, maybe they do have like a worse like dollar showing, but then in comparison to how many, if we stacked it up like proportionately, I wonder what it would look like.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or if they put the same amount of money behind each of those movies also.
Yeah. Well, and there's been garbage male. I mean, Hulk is a clear example, right? Those movies all suck. And it wasn't until they decided to just make him a supporting character that suddenly now he's great. And he's that character when he's in the movie. You're waiting that whole movie for him to get pissed and turn into the Hulk, right? Like, those are the best scenes in the movie.
And Matt Ruffalo, I know Eric Bana was the Hulk once, and they had another Incredible Hulk, right, too? And that wasn't Matt Ruffalo, was it?
No. That was, what's
Mark
his name?
Ruffalo?
He's from the American History X. That's what I always think of him.
Edward Norton?
Yeah, he played him.
Okay. So maybe it was because they didn't have the current Hulk. I know.
And that Hulk movie is actually the first movie of the MCU.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think it is the very... Because it ties in at the end with... I believe Samuel L. Jackson and all that actually ties in with it. So, yeah. But it's stupid. It's dumb. It's not good. It's terrible.
So I was going to ask you, you thought the beginning of this was slow with, building up her origin. So
yeah, I did think
was
it was
slower than other origin stories to you?
Okay, as far as origin movies go, I think it's actually pretty good.
Right.
I wish there was. I wish she almost would have come back, like left Themyscira and come to the whatever with all the rest of us normal people, and ran into like another person from the Justice League. Like let another male character from the Justice League like be a supporting character throughout it, and then maybe in the Justice League movie she has somebody that she's met that she can like bring to the team now, right?
Are you saying that because you didn't think she carried the movie well all on her own?
Yeah, right. Hey, and to be fair, she did have a male supportive character. I thought Steve and her had a great like relationship through the whole thing.
It's interesting if you think about it, how much of it is varied because it was a female lead and a female director. It was definitely like a super teamwork effort on behalf of all 4 of them, right? Plus her.
Yeah.
Like she had, the 4 other gentlemen that were very important to encouraging her to, keep fighting when she was like, stuck in all that metal or whatever, right?
Building her faith in humanity.
In love, which,
right?
I mean, how many male superhero movies where they're like, I was able to come back because of love? I thought that was all dinky.
Oh, it was super cheesy.
It was really cheesy.
Yeah, I thought the very end was not the best part of the movie.
Right, I totally get it, yeah, because love's awesome and all, but the other one's just like...
You're not like, hate. You're not like, yeah.
I mean, I'm filled with hate and bitterness, but no. It's nice for those who, find love. But...
Well, and I think that, so like coming back to that part of like, putting an ethnicity or a gender in a movie for the sake of having it in there to appease the audience or whatever, to appease those people that won't see it if it's not, or whatever they think, right? I don't know what their mentality is around that, but like to speak about that, I thought it was funny that the 4 people that were together, or the 3
different.
people, they were all different, and they were so cliche, those things, right?
They could have been
like
worse.
Your Irish guy or your Scottish guy, it was totally in his kilt. He was the drunken whatever,
right.
Red hair, right? Like he's so, you could see him without him saying anything, and he's the Irish guy. The Native American guy, Scottish guy. You could see the Native American guy from a mile away. He was Native American.
Right, you could.
The
but
French dude, right?
Like
with his little red hat.
They didn't make him do the horrific accent.
Yeah, it wasn't like insulting.
No,
the first American.
But it was definitely obvious the roles they were portraying.
Is that in the comics? Anything about this in the comics?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know. I've never read the Wonder Woman
comics,
origin comic. I haven't. I've always been a fan. I always thought Wonder Woman was pretty cool, and I loved that she could be... She's usually really confident in the comics and can just go toe-to-toe with any dude, which I thought was super cool. But I've never been... I was never a super big fan of like collecting her comics, right? So maybe I'm guilty of the stereotype.
I know, that's what I was wondering when you're talking about stuff that you felt wasn't like, some of the origin wasn't for you. I was like, I wonder if that's because you're male and they're trying to appease, because it's the women influence on it. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm really into, like, I'm into superhero movies and stuff, and I love butt kicking, and she's badass and stuff. But they do want to appeal a bit to, we want to see where like the women come from, right? First, I don't know. Like we want to. And I think that's really something to establish her relationship with her mother and her aunt and everything. To see that
all women, right? There were all women.
The whole island. So I don't know. That's
which is the theme of Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
Like she's like she's totally that like image of the like power. Women have power too, and like that she represents that totally.
Right, but you can still look at. Sorry, I thought you were done. Go
ahead. Well, I was just gonna say it's clear that DC was on a mission to do that. I think. Because it is Wonder Woman, they have a female director. Like they were emphasizing that in this movie.
Yeah, there's still things though where you could tell that they were still trying to connect some with like the male audience with some of their commentary. Like the one time when she said "follow me," and then the other 4 gentlemen shared a look, and it got a huge laugh from the audience. Like there's a bunch of like debates behind us, and a huge laugh. And so I turned to Kristen and I said, "It's so funny when women lead," and it's like. They still have to get those little laughs because she's obviously badass. She doesn't need any help with these humans. She can crush all of them. So it's just, they still did little things like that. Or like the comment where he said he was frightened and aroused. Like, that was a huge laugh. And I looked, Kristen and I weren't laughing. It's like,
yeah,
it's
why?
Funny.
Like, it's like, it's just added in there just to appease
their
audience.
Moments,
like,
for sure.
It's those things. Another thing I noticed was the bad guy was not like your typical like big, strong, like muscular.
David Thewlis.
Yeah, like it was like it wasn't this big like when he turned into his like god figure. I mean, he was stronger and he had his armor, but he was still himself. It wasn't like
with his creepy little mustache.
with his creepy like. I don't know if I liked that they did that or not, but that was something that stuck out to me, and it did make me laugh because I don't see him as this big threatening person.
Yeah.
But like it stuck in my memory as like a big part of that. Like I don't know if they were trying to make a point with that or I don't know, but
right. And he also needed a lot of like he was just pulling material, metals, everything from everywhere, and all Wonder Woman had was her fists or whatever.
She didn't even have her sword anymore, like or her lasso.
Right.
Like,
so, yeah,
also very Thor when that sword got crushed.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it just disintegrated. I don't know. It didn't even get crushed. It's just gone.
Yeah, just like disintegrated as she shoved it into his palm.
That's
which was
really
actually
interesting,
kind of cool.
though, Kristen. I really like that. Thinking about that, it's like men can fight big, hurly, muscular, every single level of strength.
Right.
And then
she had those moments though. She lifted that tank over her head.
Not saying that her adversary, David Thewlis, who's very mousy and not muscular. He's like this like little British man, Sir Henry or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that's super interesting.
With his little mustache and his teeny little scrawny body, and just like this teeny little brainiac man. Like,
well, and I'd wondered that in the movie though when he was when he decided to be when he came out as Ares, right? We're totally giving away stuff now. But
spoiler
alert.
But
when he came out as Ares,
if you're watching this, right.
I always tell people that. I always tell people that with reviews. Don't watch a review if you don't want to know anything. But when he came out as Ares, I had thought, how is he going to be Ares, right? Like he's so teeny and scrawny. How's he even going to contend? And of course, CGI. That's how they did it, right? Like 90% of that awesome battle they had was just all CGI. You never saw any of him until the very end when his helmet got knocked off. Then it was clear it was him.
I really enjoyed the horrible.
His
it made me chuckle. Yeah, I totally chuckled at that moment.
Because I mean, David Thewlis is cool and all, but yeah, you don't. It doesn't strike you as a
menace
of
any kind.
I couldn't decide. Like while I was watching, I couldn't decide if I liked that they did that or if I didn't like it. Kind of, I don't know. It kind of took away from it for me just because I had to sit and think about it.
Yeah,
I suppose you could.
And every time I saw him trying to be this like big, fierce god, I just wanted to laugh. I think like that was for me. I was like, right.
I suppose you could take it as another level of examining who our villains can be. They come in every sort of package.
Yeah.
Right.
Double, like, he was, I totally lost the words, but like, like
standard.
a double agent. I guess
what
I was getting at. He was obviously very higher up in the English.
Right.
So, and then, we aren't just supposed to be scared of the one type of person. Anybody can be evil, I suppose, and anyone can be a hero, I guess, if we're gonna look at it.
Yeah,
well,
right.
and like that's what the whole movie was touching on, was the evil inside of everyone, and blah blah blah.
And to be fair, I didn't even consider the villain side of it as in depthly as you guys have just done in the past couple of minutes. So really, in a way,
for having women on the show.
So really, in a way, I give it a nod for doing that. Actually, that they did the other end of the spectrum too, right? But. So, okay, from a total male point of view, as far as what I think of if the mission of this movie was to represent women in the superhero world, right? From my point of view as a male, I think that in a way there were parts that were offensive to women, if that's the point of it. One of them being that you could practically see her whole butt cheek every time she was fighting,
and
right?
She had to wear wedges.
Or walking,
yeah. Like her butt was hanging out of her Wonder Woman skirt. Like even
and it had slits up,
right in there. So I thought
like, it was like underwear.
There's definitely, I mean, we were close to not wearing a skirt, right? It was very sexually driven parts of the movie that were that way. And there were a lot of scenes where I think it's more acceptable in the Thor movie because he shows up to everyday society and he's your classic like muscle bound bumbling buffoon guy, right? Mm-hmm. Which now suddenly isn't offensive as if we portray guys that way. It's more humorous and whatever. But I almost felt that if I was a woman, I would find that to be a little more offensive because she had those scenes in the movie too, where she was like, but I'm pretty, so I get away with it, but I'm totally bumbling and being an idiot also. It just came across so differently.
I guess to me, I didn't notice. I noticed obviously she was confused.
Right. It was more of the like coming to grasp with the way of the world. She was adjusting to her surroundings. It was like culture shock.
Can you give us an example of like one scene you're specifically thinking of, or?
And I get that.
Well, even like
I get that they use the humor side of that to like.
I never saw her
carry
using
it along.
her beauty as a crutch. I saw
No,
other
she didn't
people
do
addressing
it,
right?
but people
Yeah.
assumed it about her. Like
Right.
they made assumptions based on the fact, like you're saying, the one, what would you say? What was the comment by the one guy with his little red beret?
The
It
one
was like, I'm
about
frightened,
aroused
but
and
yeah,
frightened.
like
Yeah.
right,
Frightened
like
but
that's
aroused.
that's a perfect example where she didn't do it herself, but we're totally putting her in that role.
It was laid
by
upon
doing
her
it.
by the male gaze.
Yeah, right. Or even like when they put the
Typical.
spectacles on her, and the one his assistant was
right.
like,
I'm really glad they addressed it.
yeah, which I thought was great, but at the same time,
That even happened.
we're putting her in that role. We're still acknowledging that she is this typecasted kind of character.
Which I guess, to a point, you want to speak to some of the origins, because I don't know what exactly she wore in the original comics. I know it was similar to that.
Pretty much a bathing suit. Yeah.
Right, it's similar, but there have also been upgrades to every costume,
Yeah.
Superman's not wearing the same, like, polyester, like, baby blue, right?
Yeah.
Like,
They've gotten rid of the underwear part. Like Batman doesn't wear underwear on the outside of his pants. Superman doesn't.
Right.
Wonder Woman
Right.
isn't even underwear bottom. They wear I believe it's blue bottoms with white stars all over them. Was like
Oh,
her
yeah,
classic, right?
and I read this is the first time she hasn't worn earrings.
Oh,
So,
okay. I
kudos.
never would have noticed, right? These are facts that
Well,
maybe
she has
the
her
male
hair down.
doesn't
How do you
carry.
even notice?
Yeah.
But I read too that they designed so as how supposedly what the director wanted was how these women would be encouraged in showing their own bodies for their own like enjoyment, or what would make them feel best about themselves, and that's that they would want to show off their toned legs and toned arms and everything like that. And I don't know if that's true, but because even looking at the beginning when she just had like the metal, it's like that would be so chafy, so awful. Like you
Right.
could
I thought
see,
that
like
too.
it was awful. So
Or even like the one strap across to the shoulder. Like why
That's
wouldn't
what it
that
was,
like
yeah.
cut into? It's like have a
weird metal.
seatbelt.
Yeah,
Nobody
and then-
likes a seatbelt all the time.
So yeah, they still obviously everybody in the superheroes are going to be attractive in every single movie because they're
Yeah.
actors.
Even the male ones are that
Right.
way,
Oh, yeah.
right?
They're all
the
babes,
other
so-
Steve. Come on, he's a stud. Thor's a stud.
Both Steves
right?
are studs, Marcus.
Yeah, they're all Steves. In the MCU, it's all Steves. We've already
And
talked about
Chris's.
that. Yes.
There's lots of Chris's.
Yep.
There is
Lots of
lots of
Chris's.
Chris's.
And they're both studs. Right? I totally acknowledge it too. They're studs. They work out a lot. I think Gal Gadot works out a lot. Right? There's a reason why she's as fit as she is.
Gal Gadot?
Gal Gadot, isn't that her name?
Oh, Gal Gadot.
A Gadot or Gadot?
Gadot.
A Gadot. Sorry. Gadot. That was my nerdiest thing ever.
Like,
I thought you were like trying to call back to Zoe Saldana and that's
No.
where I went to whatever her character's
Nice.
name
That's super
is.
nerdy
and
on your end. Totally get nerd props for that.
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
And the other end.
I'm getting all my names confused. The beer's kicking. in.
Gamora.
Yeah.
I thought you were calling Gamora. Oh god,
Yeah,
that's pretty
no.
funny. Okay. No, Gal Gadot.
Yeah. I mean, these are obviously beautiful people.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So-
there's no denying
And
that.
they're gonna play up on everybody. They played up on her sexuality, yeah. And they
The
all-
only
as they did
two
with-
beautiful people in this movie were Steve and Wonder Woman, right? Everybody else was kind of a little funky looking. In comparison.
Yeah, I suppose the Dr. Poison was not bad. She just was missing, some of the skin.
She
on
wasn't
her jaw.
bad except for right here.
Like, she is an actress, as a babe. But she's
yeah.
What about you? Anything else, Kristen, over there that we
About
have
what?
discussed? I don't know.
Do we miss something?
I don't think so.
I feel like we've skated around everything except for the actual movie itself, right? All the topics around the movie.
The movie was
what it means for women or men or whatever, which is totally individual. Who are we to really pass judgment on that? But
the movie was an enjoyable superhero movie. It was not exceptionally feminist, as people are playing it up to be.
Yeah.
It's not tier worthy for what it does for women's rights.
I felt like Beauty and the Beast was more feminist than Wonder Woman. The new live action Beauty and the Beast.
or at least
Their attempts were more like catered towards the feminist agenda more than this movie was. I think personally. Did you see
is
the
that
new one?
because
I
they
did.
Yeah.
But it was
is
awful,
that because
so.
they did
It-
such changes
I was
to the
just-
movie
no,
to
I get
emphasize that?
And I think so. I think that for me was the biggest thing was that they really the alterations they made in it were towards that side. So, and I think, If it's not broke, don't fix it. Why would you? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I think really, ultimately,
probably
if
is
your
broken.
point of this movie was to make a message as far as women and empowering that and empowering diversity and just like supporting, approving of everything and just like we support it all, you probably would have had like a chick show up on the island, right? And that's who she would have discovered, and that's who would have like sent her, motivated her to go back, and it wouldn't have had to have been a man that did all that. Like I could see there's things in it that almost would be offensive the other way also.
And it still barely passed the Bechdel test, or I don't actually know how to pronounce that, but
The what test?
is it Bechdel or Bechdel? It's the test to see if it how like feminine worthy it is. If two female characters with names talk to each other and it's not about a male character. And that's all you need to pass the Bechdel test.
Which is,
Is this like a standard that is held to
it's
all
been around
movies?
forever.
Like this has to happen in a movie to get passed as like approved for something?
As to pass the Bechdel test, yeah. And it's a huge percentage that still don't. This movie hardly did, only because of the beginning on the island. And the rest of the test, do you remember her ever really, like, I guess the one time when she was discussing with the secretary, but
I was gonna say, the secretary,
he's still there involved, like.
Because she never talked to the
Dr.
scientist
Poison,
when she was in her moment. She was just having her like flashbacks. If she had talked to her, I suppose that could have altered that. No one in town. She didn't really talk to anyone in town.
She talked to the one woman, I guess, where they were all being killed.
But like,
but it's like it's not like
that's not. It wasn't like
it's
a
not a
conversation
conversation.
that
Yeah,
was like,
So,
save us.
it's just something to consider. It's
Save us, Wonder Woman.
if you start examining movies looking for if they're passing that test, there's a huge percentage that don't.
And so the Bechdel test is just a woman talking to another woman, like carrying on an actual
Two
conversation with
named
each other?
female characters talking to each other about something other than a male character.
So that eliminates it right away for Wonder Woman because anybody else she talked to wasn't even a named character. Other than, on the island, but those other random ones we were talking about, right? Like,
Right,
none
if
of
the
those
origin
count.
story that you didn't like so much. Has been
Her mom and her
restricted.
aunt
Yeah.
and all those.
Yeah.
On the
Then
island,
she's only got the secretary.
And yeah, it was like hardly even. And he was there,
Which
moving
did
the
they ever
conversation
name
along.
her? Was she
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
second? I guess they did give her a name, yeah.
Every said she was lovely.
Yeah. So I don't know. I have a lot of pros for the movie. I do think it's great, but at the same time, I have a lot of hang-ups with it. I think there were a lot of things done in the movie because they're cliche and they just need to be done to make it to appeal to the audience, right?
As in any superhero
With
movie.
any
Right,
movie.
right,
I think,
yeah.
and not even superhero movies. It's like any movie, it's like you have to have these staples in it to appeal to the audience. And I think we're really bad at making movies that lack any more substance than what's just thrown in your face, right? Like they're just, everything's spelled out for you. There's no real mystery or discovery to anything anymore. There's not a left.
There's no waiting for something to come in like scenes later.
Yeah, not a lot of that, and there's not a lot left to like decipher and interpret on your own. Everything's spelled out for you in movies.
At least
now.
not the ones that are going to be big blockbusters.
Yeah,
For sure, because you see a lot of those movies that are very artistically done and interesting, and the ones that, some of them that win, like the Oscars or whatever, but they're either like depressing, or they make you uncomfortable, or just things like that, where you do start seeing some difference between the formula. There's still kind of a basic formula that we tend to follow, but I think there are some, but it's like they're not going to get a budget of 150 million.
yeah, for sure.
Which
Yeah.
is, so we're force-fed the same sort of, lineup and activities,
Yeah.
Person becomes a superhero, there's a build-up, her goal, she falters, almost fails, gets
grounded in reality again, right?
gets another encouragement boost and beats her villain.
Yeah,
Right.
or his.
No.
Don't
You're
forget the
watching
guys
Wonder
too.
Woman.
Yeah.
We're still talking about Wonder
Woman.
Woman.
So I think, for me, I really thought it was actually pretty good. It's not terrible. There were points in it that I really did enjoy. There were some cool action parts in it. I thought they overdid the slow motion thing, which they definitely show you in the trailers. But for some reason, everything mid-strike it was very 300. You remember that movie? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything in that movie was that way. Really slow motion, then it'd speed up as limbs would fly in the air. And then slow
blood.
motion again, and blood, right?
Yeah, blood.
Kind of like
And
I
I-
remember hearing about, like, was it the second Sherlock Holmes? They did a lot of cool slow motion in that, too, where it was, like, weird.
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah, which is a huge thing and everybody's way into now with movies. I loved that she killed the guy on the roof at the end. I thought that was so badass.
Instead of letting him go. But
Yeah,
then she
right.
didn't kill Dr. Poison.
the chick?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she did not.
Or Dr. Moira. I can't remember.
Yeah, Poison. They already called her Dr. Poison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, she's stabbed him right through the body.
Yes. Which I thought was
through the ceiling.
It was cool.
I mean, like,
yeah, Steve.
was,
That's
like,
how he
through the
knew.
whole
He
building.
looked, and the sword was poking through the ceiling. I thought it was sweet. I was like, "Wow, she actually killed him."
You actually like chuckled to yourself
Yeah, no, I
when
thought it
he
was
like
great.
walked into the building.
I love
and,
it when
the sword
movies-
was like stabbing through. You're like,
Yeah, no, I love it in movies when people die because I'm sorry, but you have superpowers in the superhero movies, man. They should die.
I love it when people die.
They should
I
die.
love it when pets die in movies. Or
Yeah, no.
oh my gosh, it makes me cry.
The people, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
we should also
Oh
point
my
out
goodness, let's not point this
that we
out.
know it's a good one because it made Kristen cry.
Anything
Yeah,
makes me
yeah.
cry. I'm not.
Kristen's sitting in between Marcus and I, and we
Oh my
both checked
goodness.
on her, and she was crying.
Yeah, she wanted to use my sleeve to wipe her tears.
Because I was wearing fleece. You can't wipe a tear with fleece. It
So-
just smears the water.
So there's a new rule: no more fleece to a movie.
I know. I cry in everything. It's ridiculous. I cry in Smallville. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing.
Oh,
Thanks
Smallville's
for
amazing.
putting
Come on.
that out in the real world.
That's our latest binge terrible DC thing. Which we haven't seen Wonder Woman. I don't think she shows up in it. Maybe she does. I don't know. We're only on season 4 of 10.
Yeah, only.
Yeah, only.
It's disgusting.
So, bottom line, would you see it again?
In theaters, no.
No?
No.
Once was enough?
But when
Yeah.
when it comes out, are you going to watch it with your dad?
I'll
In
probably
the-
watch it with my
in the
dad.
movie room.
Yep, up in his theater with get some popcorn. Up.
So you won't watch Batman vs. Superman, though? You're not going to watch
I mean,
it?
I might, but
You kind
it
of
was-
need to
I-
fill the hole now,
I
right?
definitely didn't need to see it in theater because my dad and I go, for everyone out there who doesn't know, my dad is my movie buddy, and we go to a ton
your
of
best
movies
friend.
together. He's my.
Your dad's awesome, by the way.
I
We're
am
best friends.
I'm a clone of my dad's.
We've
No
held
wonder you
hands,
like me
and
so
it's
much.
awesome. Yeah.
I am my dad's clone, so we go to a ton of movies together, and
Shout out to Stuart.
right. And I don't know if he went and saw this without me. I think he did because I was out of town or
Oh.
whatever. And it was not something I was, because normally I'll tell him, I'll say, like I told him, don't go see Guardians of the Galaxy 2 without me. Don't do this. And so he won't, but he did went and saw that one. He said it was awful. So not something I was needing
He didn't
to
like
see.
Guardians 2?
No, we saw that together.
Batman versus
Batman
Superman.
versus Superman.
Oh.
A long time ago. So I maybe, it's just, when I'm looking through like on the Red Box now or whatever, I'm like, that's not an interest or need. I guess he has Netflix. We could just get it and waste an evening on it.
Is it on Netflix now?
Well, no, like he's a grown up, so he gets DVDs in the mail still.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Marcus's mom and dad do that.
He is Doc Brown. He totally is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely Dr. Emmett Brown.
I love your dad. Your dad's awesome.
He's
I
my
mean that,
favorite.
Stuart. You'll never watch this, but I love you.
I'll show him that.
One day, maybe he'll
Would
be
you
on
watch
the show.
it again in theaters, either of you?
I'm not going to go see it again.
No.
Wonder
I think
Woman?
once was enough.
Yeah.
No, probably not. But I would rent it or see it when it comes out.
But like, I mean, I can.
Fairly few movies I'm going to go see a second time now in theaters. I did see Lord of the Rings,
It's
like
so
10 times.
expensive.
But
It's
yeah.
like
Yeah. It's not one I would
you
have
see
seen.
it more than once, you're spending like $30.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and you can just buy the Blu-ray to the DVD for that, right?
Right.
Well,
It's,
like I would have gone if somebody would have been like, "Hey, do you want to go see Guardians 2 or even the first one?" Or like Winter Soldier. I love that movie. I've seen it so many times. The first Avengers movie.
many
If
times.
somebody would have wanted me to go see it with them, I totally would have gone and seen it again. Would not have had a problem with it at all.
Right.
But I also don't mind just waiting for the movie to come out, right?
Right. It's not so amazing that you cannot stand.
Yeah, typically if I go see, I would almost be more apt to go see Fast and Furious again. Because we
It's
could go drink beers
amazing.
beforehand. We totally know what's going to happen, and it's absurd, and our faces would hurt from laughing again.
yeah, I
Right?
would cry again, but for a completely different
Yeah,
reason.
right? Like, literally our faces stung from the sweat and tears.
She mentioned that when we were watching the 98 previews that it felt like, what was that horrible one with Mandy Moore?
Oh, the
the-
shark.
yeah.
She was laughing at it, and she was
I
like,
was
"It's when
laughing
you went and
so
saw Fast and Furious."
hard.
Yeah,
I just
that
wouldn't
movie
stop
looks
laughing.
horrible.
And everyone was like goffing at me because I was laughing
There were
so
many
loud
screams.
at the previews. Like they were getting mad because I was laughing at the previews. Yet those same people are the ones that laughed during the women take the lead parts and
Yeah.
things like that. So,
Who
you know,
felt the need to
that
say-
shows where they are
Yeah.
in
Felt the need to
society.
say, and that's funny. After every preview, I was like, "These people are the worst."
Yeah. I do think that there's a spot in Hollywood for women-led films. Or, ethnicity diverse movies. Ethnically diverse.
Ethnically.
Thank you. My beer's kicking in totally. I'm on my second one.
Yeah,
well,
but
needs to
you
drink a
can't
little
look at
more.
it that way. You can't say there's a place. It should be half and half because
Or it should just be all. It should just
I
be
would say
one
there
market,
shouldn't
right?
be even like a ratio. It should just be
Natural.
It shouldn't be this thing that's forced. It should just be accepted and expected. And
Yeah. And we're getting there, I suppose, slowly but it should, like you were talking about, it's like you always want to appreciate differences because that's what makes us humans so amazing and so interesting, is that we are so different on so many, not even just like our whatever gender we are, but also just like our emotions
individually.
So it's just something that we'll get towards where it doesn't have to be, this is the first female-led superhero movie in over 10 years.
I know.
Right? Stuff like that.
But I almost think, like, in a way, is that almost offensive in itself to look at it that way, right?
No.
You don't think so? Where if somebody's like, we applaud this movie and it's so good because it's the first female-led and because it's a female lead, that's why it's so good. And, like, in a way, it's kind of like, why can't you just say it's good? Like, why do you have to add that tag to it?
That's what I'm saying, too,
right?
yeah. It's just like, this movie is good because these actors are good, the story was good, it was directed well.
Special effects are good, everything is good.
It's like a side note to me at that point about the fact that it's about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas it's just,
I feel like
that shouldn't be the selling point.
Right.
Yeah,
they shouldn't use that to get your ratings.
In a way, it's like that's a crutch then, right? And like, I don't think you don't sell it that way. Like, let the movie stand on its own merit.
So
don't dumb it down because of that.
We'll be able to do that because
At
we've had
point.
successes.
Well, and I've like,
how much of the success is just because it is Wonder Woman though? So something to consider.
Yeah,
because so many things were being like hung on this about
So how about?
But that could also just be because DC was putting out terrible things and
right. That's the tough thing, is that
it's like this hard balance to like find
is
like.
Right? It's like this one's covered in turds and this one isn't. That's all it takes to make it better, right? So it's like, what are we saying now? I think in the grand scheme of things,
they could have almost come out with an Aquaman movie first, and it probably would have been better than Batman vs Superman.
Oh, maybe.
I'm not gonna lie. It probably would have been
I'm
better.
really worried
so
about
bad.
Aquaman. I don't get why. But again, now we're talking about changing the character and dealing with all those issues. Aquaman is supposed to have a green top and the orange top with the green bottom and have his trident and whatever and be the blonde, blue-eyed white guy that's who he's supposed to be, right?
And what is he now?
And now I don't know where.
I think he has like darker hair.
Oh, he's got black hair
curly.
And he's not.
He looks like
I don't
he's
know
like
for
in a
sure.
bad like 90s like rock band.
Oh, totally. And he's definitely got that angsty vibe to him. And he's not a white guy, I don't think. Maybe he is.
There's something. Does him being white affect him as a character? It doesn't.
No.
Right. But
it's not that classic image, right?
Right, but that's the thing. We have to evolve and change to a point, just like their costumes have changed. You aren't going to be dressing a person representative of 2017.
Marcus gets really upset when they change like the character. Like if in the character,
I don't like
in the comic book, they are wearing like the red shirt with the yellow pants. He wants them to be in the movie red shirt,
or at least
yellow
have
pants.
the moment in the movie where they acknowledge that is
so
what
you
they
don't
used
like
to wear.
probably a lot of stuff that goes on in the Marvels then, because they've all upgraded.
He gets a
lot.
little frustrated.
But they
he
all
gets
look like
frustrated
them.
when they change.
They actually
the
do
character.
look like them, which is okay. Like Captain
lot of the
America
time.
looks like them. Black Widow looks
similar,
just like
but
her.
not.
Yeah, but they're still really similar, right? Like I want.
But
I think aside from Aquaman, DC's actually done really well. I do think
with the costumes.
Yeah, like Superman actually looks
and
like
the casting.
Superman. He doesn't have the underwear. That's the one thing he's missing. I can deal with
Who was
that.
that? I'm sorry.
Superman,
Okay,
right?
right.
Batman. That Batman versus Superman. That Batman suit is ripped right
like,
from
tech
the Batman Returns, which is one of my favorite comics, and it's what that movie's based on.
Okay.
Like they pulled it right from the comic. It's
But even
awesome.
within the comics, they change them, right?
Oh, totally.
So yeah, I mean, it's totally something that just kind of needs to be upgraded with the times, right? But you don't like that at all.
I don't like it when it's
He has a
done.
hard time with it.
But so this is my issue with it. I don't like it when it's like the Mary Jane thing, where there was this rumor that Zendaya was going to play Mary Jane, right? And she's not the redheaded, white girl, the poster girl or whatever that you. For me, she was like my comic book crush as a kid all the time because I was way into Spider-Man.
So you have a
she
whole
was
other weird
right,
level,
right? Totally,
to
my
it.
weird,
Okay.
creepy nerd level. But in a way, it's like, why change the existing character and make them somebody else when we can just have another hero to facilitate that role if that's your motivation? If that is the motivation, if your motivation is just to diversify the movie and create those other characters in it to appease whatever group is going to protest that they're not in there,
Well, tell me
then
about,
do it.
well,
But
so
But make a character for them. Don't do it with a character that's already been established. Because again, in a way, I almost think that's kind of offensive.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
tell me about so where did Gwen Stacy come from?
She's from the comics, yeah. And she actually in that movie died very similar in the comics.
I knew
the way
that.
She did.
But they both even in the different reboots, they both met in high school. So which one was based in the comics?
They're both
he
from
met
the
Mary
comics.
Jane and Gwen Stacy. Different Spider-Man timelines?
No, they meets them both.
Okay, and
they're both in the school. They're
lives.
both in there. He dates Gwen first. He
Okay.
does date Gwen first, and then he comes around to dating Mary Jane. But
that's totally not what was represented in Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So let me just throw that
there was
out.
no. Was there Gwen Stacy in that?
No.
I don't remember.
No.
Those were so long ago.
And then Emma Stone came around in the second reboot. So
Yeah, she was the main one.
So
I don't know. It's a tough. It's such a tough. I appreciate what they're doing. I don't have any. I sound like I'm being. I feel like I'm being an asshole about it. But I'm not. I don't have an issue with anybody. I think. I just want to see my child. Yeah, right. I just want my childhood heroes
to be represented
the way I remember them as a kid.
But that's
right?
not fair. Just because how you remember some stuff doesn't mean how somebody else remembers it.
But if it's
but anybody that's my age that grew up with it remembers it that way.
I mean, I suppose you did see it in.
They never remember Aquaman
right,
as in black leather pants with tattoos all over his upper body
well,
and his black hair. Just their visual
person.
Representation on the screen should just be that classic hero.
I guess it's interesting. So if you look back at on something, so let's take humans and gender and all of it out of it. Right.
Because I had an issue with Transformers when there was the second generation where suddenly they turn into animals now. I was like, no, they don't turn into animals.
The second generation.
There was this Beast Wars Transformers, right? And my brother was way into it. And I had to tell my brother, no, dude, they don't turn into animals. They turn into cars and jets. The bad guys are jets. The good guys are cars. Later on, they get weird and transform, right? But we never had an issue with that. And then when the show came around, I was like, nope, it's not right. I don't like it. It's not what I grew up with. I don't care about it. Even the new Ninja Turtles. They're not Shrek. They're not weird ogres. They should be the Ninja Turtles they always were.
This might be something you want to address.
Yeah, right? I need
you want to talk to a counselor,
I need to lay on a couch and talk to somebody about it.
It's not for me to tell you, but I mean that might be something to think about it.
I still live in my childhood fantasy.
It's interesting.
Look at this room. You still live in your
childhood.
Yeah.
There's just things to think about. You saw it that way, even though you did have a visual representation. Maybe you saw it that way, but maybe another person still saw them as in a different way, more representative of them because they weren't given a chance to actually have that representation. So they had to kind of create it for themselves.
Well,
and
then I definitely think there's also the argument that
how many black how many black people showed up in your comic books?
Oh, not as many, for sure.
Right. So it's hard. So,
there were some, and I thought they were great. And I would be as irritated if they made a movie and they made them a white person. Right. And I actually think the media and the fans would throw a bigger stink if you suddenly made a white person or a black superhero. Now they're going to be a white person in a movie. That would be people would have a heyday with that. You would never hear the end of that.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but it's also because they are underrepresented.
Yeah. Well, and I totally get all that.
Not obviously.
Well, the same with a woman. If they made Batman a woman, it would be the same.
Is there a Batgirl?
But as a kid,
well, there is. But you know what I'm saying.
I mean, I understand it too. It's just something it's hard because there's things that I would really love to be the same, and I think just I'm going back to the.
Well, it's let's say they had a Harry Potter movie
that we're talking about
Harry
costumes.
Potter
Yeah, but what if they had a Harry Potter
Harry
movie and Harry's going to be
interesting
Asian, or he's going to be a girl, or he's going to be, a black kid, or which is fine, but just make him a different wizard. Why do you have to do that?
No, I love that.
Why does he got to ride on Harry's coattails?
I was going to bring up Harry Potter 5 minutes ago when they did the Cursed Child, and the actress in Cursed Child is black, and people got really upset. But if you look back in the books, J.K. Rowling never specifies that Hermione's white.
Oh.
So it's just and it's different in comic books.
The assumed view.
Right. Yeah. And it's different in comics because you do see it drawn or whatever.
Right.
But it's just, just because we view it one way doesn't mean that everybody is viewing it this. They view it differently because they're a different person.
Yeah.
Well, and they say, when you're reading a book, you view a character based on someone who you've seen in real life. You see, it's the psychological study that when you picture characters in movies, you picture them based on people you've seen.
Well,
interesting.
It's like reading Harry Potter when you read it for the first time and maybe didn't know anything about it. Did he have an English accent?
Well,
yeah,
so
I mean,
because
they were
we're-
Do they clearly make that clear? Like but all those things,
yeah, 'cause
right?
she mentioned where he's from, and
Yeah.
it's very important to the story.
Well, and like for me, the comic book stuff, maybe it is different because it is more visual. Like you're
given-
reading a big picture book, right? So you're given this distinct image of what they're supposed to look like.
And I can appreciate what you're saying about your childhood that you invested a lot in. It was super
Well,
important to you. And
and when I was a kid, the racial part or the gender part that I never even thought about that
do
as
you
a kid.
want to know why?
Why?
Because you're male and white.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally, right. But I just
throw
didn't.
that out there.
I didn't.
Which is not. It's not your fault.
And you grew up in Stanwood.
It's
Yeah,
it's
right.
Not,
Yeah.
It's not our fault that we're placed with privileges, but it's just what you do with them. So it's not your
Yeah,
fault that
well,
that's
and I
how you
think
looked
that-
at it.
Yes, but I also
By
think
means.
that to bring it up as an issue and make that at the forefront that this
Right.
is an
I
issue
get it.
and whatever is almost counterproductive in a way because now suddenly we're aware of this issue and we're all going to highlight that it's an issue when it just shouldn't be an issue to begin with.
When we're gearing towards it being a side story that it's a minority.
Yeah,
Right,
or
yeah.
whatever that is, right? It's like it shouldn't be such an issue. And when I was a kid,
I like it.
like I get that is the society I personally grew up in and those were my personal experiences, so maybe I didn't recognize it as an issue, but at the same time it was never an issue to me, right? Like if you talk to little kids, a lot of times those kind of things don't matter to them. Right? Like little boys, little girls play together. It's nothing weird and sexual. Like none of these things aren't happening in their heads, which is for me, when I was a little
innocence
kid,
of it.
yeah, there's just innocence, and it's not such a big deal.
Which, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's just weird to me that I don't know.
We're all working towards the same thing of appreciating difference without it being the only factor for it.
Yeah,
For
without
having it.
acknowledging that you have to, right? We just do it.
Like, we get a Wonder Woman movie because she's a cool character.
Yeah, right?
Right,
Because
yeah.
she's badass.
Yeah, we're working
right?
towards-
She's
That's
awesome.
the point of a
'Cause
superhero
she's
movie is that they're
wonderful.
badass. Yeah, just they're badass, and that's the point.
So maybe we're getting there. We are in some aspects, so.
Yeah.
But getting back, the movie was no better to me than other superhero movies.
No, I don't. It
So
didn't stand
that's my
up.
review.
So going
Yeah.
back,
It wasn't
now,
any better.
Let's think
Let's
down.
go back and now. So
Whatever.
Jeremiah gave it a 7.5.
Yes.
So
gonna
Emily,
rate these
what
down
would
for
you?
me?
Yeah, I'm
Thank
gonna write
you.
these down. What would you rate Wonder Woman if you were to go off of the Nerdbuzz score guide, 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
Oh my goodness.
You can see it clearly right,
Well, I know.
right there.
I'm thinking. In comparison to other superhero
Do you want to
movies,
think about
I'd
it?
give it
and
an
I'll-
8. I'll
An
give it an
8? Nice. See,
That's
that
pretty
is
good.
pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
that is
that's
literally great.
Great.
Right. I mean, just as I would give Avengers movies or whatever. They're enjoyable. I love watching people fight.
It's
and,
eye
like,
candy. It's a lot of eye candy, and the fact that it,
And I like Chris Pine. I think he's real funny. And
yeah.
Oh, you like the male guy in it?
is that a problem?
Yeah, right.
I was just about to go and comment on Gal Gadot.
Yeah,
Gal
Gadot
Gadot.
or whatever her name is.
I would
Yeah.
say Gal Gadot. She was
Yeah.
she was hardcore and she was pregnant during some of the stuff, and they doing some of the just like women are awesome. Just like Scarlett Johansson is pregnant during some of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like so, I think
I don't think Ghost in the Shell. Maybe
maybe
I thought maybe it's something
it could
about
have been.
that.
Yeah, I don't know, but anywho, so I liked him. Great.
So 8 from Emily.
Yes.
Marcus.
Boy, I think it's really tough for me to do it. I want to give it such a good score because it's so much better than the other DC movies.
But you have to like rank it not just off of like versus Batman versus Superman, but you have to like rank it overall in your experiences in your life, in your world. How much do you like it? Like,
Compared
is
to-
it
it's-
good?
especially
Is
with
it
comics being
great?
so
Is
important
it?
too.
Yeah, well, and
You
I think
know.
just compared to just movies in general, without it even being a superhero movie, I don't think the movie's horrible by any means. It has some classic. In a way, I liked the way it was a little bit slower and kind of built up to things. That's kind of a
But
classic
didn't you
movie
just
feel
say
that I
that
do like.
that was something you didn't like?
I didn't like how
That's like
much
how
of
you
it there
entered
was.
this entire like episode was that you didn't.
I didn't
like
like
that about it,
the first chunk of it.
which
I didn't
is like
care-
what
I didn't care for
you
that.
would consider the slow part.
I thought the rest of it was a little bit slow too. It took a little while to get to its points, but I thought the journey was fun. I thought the action moments were super actiony. I like that she grew as a hero in it. Like in the beginning, she was not. She got wounded and like bled, and by the end, that wound would have happened so many more times when she got thrown through a building or like crushed by something. Like she just became badass by the end. And that was kind of cool. And I love that nothing happened to her to take that moment away in the movie. So she was just badass on her own through the whole thing. I totally did really like that about it. And it is by far the best DC movie.
Yes.
So
that's an understatement.
I'm going to give it, man, it's a tough one. I'm going to give it a...
You want to do like a 7.5?
I know, I do.
Same as Jeremiah.
I'm going to do...
a little variation.
I'm going to give it a 7. I do think it's good. But that's where I'm going to put it. I'm not going to go see it again. I don't know if I'll race out to like buy the DVD. I don't know if it'll be like the first...
You'll order it on Amazon. You'll totally do that. You're going to go online.
Well, like all the Marvel ones, I own them all, except for the Hulk. I don't own that first garbage one, right? I've
I've
refused
still
to
never
get
seen it.
I don't own any of the Hulk movies. I might like have them burned on something somewhere on a hard drive or something, but I don't actually own them.
It's illegal.
And-
Don't advertise that on the internet.
But I don't think this is going to be the one I race out and buy the Blu-ray to start my DCEU collection, right? So... There were Marvel ones where that was clear. Like, I'm going to buy this DVD like as soon as it comes
Winter
out.
Soldier,
I'm going to
you
watch
were
it
like-
over and over.
It was like on your wait list.
I wonder if part of that's like because now we're a little bit more used to the formula. Like, do you wonder? I don't know.
I think that had a lot to do with it.
I think
too.
that's a big issue with DC
like-
is that they're mimicking this Marvel formula
And they're
to the
coming in a
degree that
little
they
late.
are.
And so many people, another thing I have to point out, how many people were standing there after the movie was done, waiting, just waiting for
there
that,
were
like
not.
2-second eye candy of like something after the credits.
I would have liked it. I
It,
think it,
like,
I never
but
needed
how
it.
many?
for
Like
them.
there was like at least in our teeny little theater, there was at least like 10 people standing there, like standing.
Oh, even more in the seats.
Well, exactly.
Like half the theater stayed.
There's like 10 people standing there waiting for something to come up after the like credits, and nothing did. And
we
because they're
just
not
Googled it.
Marvel. I kind of like that they didn't.
But the other ones did
I mean,
that.
they owned that
Oh,
they
the
are
other
what they
dudes
are.
did.
Yeah,
Okay,
But
the
like,
other ones do that.
But
Like-
actually, not even all the Marvel ones do it either, anyways. But
Yeah.
a couple of them haven't.
what hasn't? I don't know.
I don't remember. I read it on trivia on IMDb.
It's tough for DC. I don't envy DC, and I do think it's weird and kind of ironic that they led the superhero march as far as comic books and just in general goes. They created the iconic superhero as we know it today. But now they're in such a catch-up game. They just are. And I kind of wish they would quit worrying about that side of it and just make a good movie on your own. Quit making movies that emulate what Marvel's already done.
Okay. All right, Kristen, your turn.
As far as my rating for Wonder Woman,
Yes.
I might be like on par with my brother, like 7.5. It was good, not great, but it was like I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. I had to go to the bathroom halfway through the movie. I didn't get up and leave. Like that's a clear sign to me that I was enjoying it. So yeah, I think 7.5 for me.
7.5. Which is all, we're all giving it above good, or at least good. Right? We're all within the good range, if not better.
I think you were the lowest at good.
Yeah.
So I
Which
mean,
is still saying a lot because it's a DC movie.
Right. And
I think-
there's problems, but you know what movie doesn't have a problem? And there's something.
Especially a movie as cliche as that. It is beyond cliche. Let's just get
Right.
that out of the way. It
and
is.
It's
yeah. No, if
something that-
anyone's expecting anything else, it's
Yeah, it's a
they're-
superhero movie.
and those things that aren't even the things that they were trying to do that they messed up on is something they can address in the future.
Well, and it
Yeah.
followed the formula well. It addressed all the things we wanted a superhero movie to address. It followed the formula, and it executed it. I mean,
Pretty well, I thought.
Pretty well.
And they actually avoided some things that really bugged me about origin movies.
it
So I
did.
give it
It like
props for that.
you know,
And
That's
she
true.
looked like Wonder Woman.
She never lost her
spot on, looked
powers.
like
She
Wonder
never
Woman.
Yeah,
lost.
you know, it is like she definitely played her sexuality. She has a tiny costume, but it is
but
in
that's
a
how it
line
is
with
in the
Wonder
comics
Woman.
Yeah,
also.
it totally
so
is.
you
They're
can't
not going to
get-
get like a. I can't say anything because it sounds horrible. I'm not even going to continue that sentence. Sentence over.
Yeah.
Look, I'm giving the helicopter laugh like my brother.
Nice. This must be a Johnson thing.
I'm sorry. What's a helicopter laugh? Can I hear it again?
No.
You have to listen again, yeah. You have to watch
okay.
you gotta
Let
watch
me
yourself.
pull
Yeah,
out my
we'll
real
all-
good laugh.
We'll all give
Oh,
our own
God.
interpretations. So, bottom line, I think anybody that's a fan of DC should go see it. Because it's
Or
the best thing they
superhero
have to
movies.
represent. Yeah, in superhero movies in general, yes. I agree with you. Although, I would say my childhood favorite superhero movie of all time they're totally DC movies.
When you're a kid and they have the
for sure.
movies,
When the first time I saw 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, I crapped my pants. Like after that theater, just like, oh my God, that's so good. Take me home so I can change my pants. Like it was that good. It was so amazingly good and set the bar so high. I still compare movies to this day, superhero movies, to that movie because it's just such a movie without being a superhero movie. Like it has all the classic things that older movies have. It's slower, but it has valid plot points and like things that you care about throughout the pacing in it. Still has the exciting fight moments you want. Like there's so many amazing things. And even like the original Christopher Reeves. That's one of my favorites. I've seen that movie 1,000,000 times. So I go back to DC as a big fan. I'm a big fan of it. Maybe that's why I'm a little harsher.
Right. You're impinging a lot of hopes on this thing.
Totally. Yeah. All of them. I really do. And I want them to be really amazing.
Well, yeah. Anyone that asks me, who my superhero
is, it your husband?
Well, I mean, obviously, but who my favorite superhero is? It's always Batman, and they ask why, and it's because everything he does is based on revenge. And he has a lot of money, which they address. And
yeah, I love that in the trailer. The trailer's pretty good. I'm rich.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. What's your superhero? I'm rich.
I do kind of like what DC. I know what they've been doing with like their TV shows. Right?
Yeah,
they've kind of movies.
They have some money TV shows
like Gotham.
I really like Gotham.
Really
I think it's really picked up this season. I really love it.
It's very dark.
Cool
I really like
integrate the other characters into the other shows and stuff, right? Like
yeah,
and
I agree.
Yeah,
and I actually think the best.
And I didn't like Agents of Shield.
No, but I like cheesy and like.
But what about the Netflix Marvels? Those are great. I think.
Did you watch those?
Have you ever seen Daredevil?
Or Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So those are all Marvel. Those are done pretty well. They're not the same as network TV. Yeah. I know they still call them TV shows, but it's hard to put them on the same place as a network TV.
Like the little mini series.
Yeah, it's like they're kind of different still. They're like pay-per-view. Maybe that's a better way to say it. They're more like a pay-per-view because you got to pay for your Netflix subscription to get them, right? So, I don't know. The Arrowverse, I don't care anymore. I'm kind of done with it. That's what they call it, is the Arrowverse.
That's ridiculous in and of itself.
Right?
I don't know. When's the last?
I actually really I like the Smallville because I think that guy is so weird and dopey and puppy dog-eyed.
Arrowverse. I gotcha.
Yeah.
I was
they just come around. No.
I got it now.
Yeah, that's what they call the CW shows.
Beer?
Sure, go for it.
No, I was talking about.
Yeah, whoever. Do it, please. But I really like actually the Smallville because I think he's so similar to the guy who plays Superman now. Like it almost seems like he could be him that's grown up. They have the same stupid, dopey puppy dog look on their face all the time. They're both Boy Scouts. Like it actually transitions really well. But it's a terrible show.
I gotcha.
I can't recommend it, but everybody should check it out.
I can't recommend it, but everyone should watch it.
You get hooked.
It's very funny.
So, go see it. It's actually pretty good. And our anime for the month, we're still going to watch it. Last Exile. It's a classic. Me and Jeremiah have already both watched it, but we're going to watch it again because we've never reviewed it. I love it. Next week's beer is going to be Round Midnight Belgian White, which is a 5.4% from Trouble Brewing from Rochester, New York. I always get all weird by the end, right? Yeah.
I'm looking forward to like the beers that New York will produce.
The New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was funny.
It is funny. It's hilarious.
And I just want to throw in that I'm kind of a nerd still, guys. I got weird references.
Oh, you're super nerdy. Don't even think you're getting out of being nerdy.
You.
Yeah.
Be careful. They'll have you come
next
back
week,
on again.
Yeah, we're going to have you back. Next week, we have Dirt 4, which I was going to mention because Jeremiah's into rally stuff. I don't really like rally games, but he likes rally stuff, so we throw that out there for him. Throw him a bone. Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy Episode 2. Under Pressure is what it's called. Both those games come out for everything other than Nintendo, which is kind of sad to say, but that's the fate of Nintendo now.
Poor Luke.
Even for a while.
Yeah, it's just too bad.
Very
I
singular.
know. Wipeout Omega Collection also comes out. I'm a big Wipeout fan, so check that out. And the last but not least, we get Dark Knight 3, The Master Race number 9, the final chapter. This is a comic that's been coming out for like the past year and a half. Like comics are supposed to come out every month. This one comes out every 3 months or 4 months or whatever.
Or 3 years.
Yeah, but they gave him an
like
extra issue
waiting.
to not rush the story, which I thought was super cool. So I get the final one. I've been talking to Josh, who's one of our favorite guests, and
Other than me, obviously.
other than the two ladies beside me, and he's going to come back talk about Batman with us at some point, and Jeremiah. So we're going to get all Batman-y on an episode. So that's next week. But now we get to do beer wrap up, and then we get to end the show. So beer wrap up. Wicca wicca. That's my sound effects.
That's his rapping.
Yeah, right? So you
got
get
it.
it. See, you're so nerdy. Come on. Don't even pretend. So what do we think, ladies?
I drank a lot of it, and I really have to pee now.
He
That's-
drank
Should we
less
milk
than the
this
rest
out
of
and
us.
take as long as we can?
I drank a beer before I came in here, guys. I'm gonna.
Well, what do you think? As
No,
far
it's
as
very
beers,
good. Yeah.
I think it's actually pretty good. It's a little malty and richer than I thought, actually, being that they emphasized the fruit elements so much.
Well, and I, like, as soon as we poured it, I expected the richness because of the color.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like as it warmed up, the flavor definitely developed. I tasted the blood orange a lot more, the citrus a lot
Yes.
more as it warmed up. I really like it.
Really? I'm a little bit surprised.
I really like it.
Maybe it's because it's not, it isn't really super hoppy
It
for an
doesn't.
IPA.
It doesn't sit on the back of your tongue as much. It more just like kind of. It cleanses off your palate better.
It does.
You do IPAs normally, don't you, Kristen? Or no?
They are her preferred beer.
Right.
Which is,
okay.
I'm so proud of her. It's so amazing. She went from
I
not
remember-
drinking beer ever to like, I like IPAs. And like,
So was it
wow.
with you that I was hanging out and I got an IPA and you said, I forgot that you actually like the taste of beer? feel
I
like that
did.
was
I think
you,
I
yeah,
did
and
say
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like, probably it sounds like something I would say.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't sit on your tongue as like a bitter aftertaste. That's
Yeah.
not there in this at all. It really finishes with just a like.
I think it's the blood orange.
It's like a soft citrus. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't sit there and it doesn't make you want to sip on a glass of water. It doesn't want you to have a chaser. Like that's.
Is that something that people do?
I think it's typical with
Just teasing, 'cause
IPAs.
I'm an alcoholic. Is all high functioning.
Chase it with another beer, right? You
Right.
need another beer. That's what she
Like
means
a lot
by
of
chaser.
water.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people when they have an IPA, they need to cleanse their palate with like water because it sits in the back of your mouth, like in that like in the back of your tongue, with this harsh
Skunk mouth.
Yeah, exactly. It makes
It's
you
the
want to brush
hoppy-
your teeth.
Yeah, it gives you that skunky, hoppy feel where you feel like you don't want to talk too close to somebody because I've been drinking. It's almost like coffee breath, right? It's got that bittery, whatever tone to it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna talk to Emily like this because she's got. No, I'm just kidding.
I've been trying to burp over here.
I think it's actually pretty good. I thought it was interesting that it was more of an emphasis on the like maltier, kind of richer end of it than I was expecting when we first started. I was really expecting this to be super citrusy.
Well,
right
and
out
you
of the
see
can.
the can and you think like summertime. The can makes me think that it's going to be like this light, like summery. I want to sit outside and like in the sunshine and just like lounge and like drink it like a citradelic.
And
like,
you wouldn't.
Yeah.
This isn't.
And it is like I think it is a lot of that, but it has a lot more depth to it. It's a lot richer, almost like a lot darker flavor. You know, like you know,
like this. Like if you don't get it from this, then right.
I don't know, and it definitely doesn't. It doesn't have a harsh aftertaste. It finishes very clean. I kind of like it a lot.
Yeah, I completely agree with you that it finishes really clean. It's almost a lot of your flavors come out in it right in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Which isn't super common. And it finishes, I think, pretty nice actually with the blood orange. It's a nice addition in there. What do you think, Emily?
I said it's really smooth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to drink.
It super is. It super is. It's like a really well thought out. I mean, you guys. I went to college, guys. That's where I get sentences like that.
Yeah.
And normally it kind of squicks
Higher
me-
education.
Right. It super is. No, normally cans kind of squick me out just because of.
Squeak you
Right,
out? I like
right.
it.
I
Squeak you
kind of
out?
like.
What's
I
a
wasn't
squick?
sure about it because it's in a can.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, totally. And
I mean, I have to
Like my friend
drink more than
Whitney.
one
Next week's
can.
beer's in a
but
can also.
my friend Whitney, who is super into beer, prefers the taste of cans. I believe, but to me, it's just like.
I think
I'd
it's like a
always want like
soda
a bottle,
thing too.
but
like-
yeah. But no, it is really drinkable. If I'm confused,
Well, you never would have known it came from a can,
I don't
right?
think so,
Like if I would have
right.
put that in, you'd never be like, oh, this is canned beer.
Right.
There's
That's
nothing
what I
about
first
it that's
thought when
gross
I smelled
or
them,
bad.
like, oh, can. Aluminum.
Well, that's like people
Other
with
than the-
wine.
than the
it's like
tin
people with
smell.
wine with like the cork or the screw top. people say the screw top is just as good as a cork.
Oh yeah, or the box.
Yeah, right. With the bladder.
That's how you
Yeah.
know about a high functioning
Because that's what's in the box. It's not just a box
or
with
like
a spout.
my purse
There's a
line.
bladder
I
in there.
mean, whatever.
Yeah. I only know that because we had a friend who you knew the party got good
Oh, man.
when the box wine bladder was thrown over her shoulder, and she would just empty it into a glass and keep the party going. It's like, the party got good all of a sudden.
But anyway, back to this beer.
Yeah. So we got to throw a score on it. Do it for the people out there.
All right, we're going to do this in order.
For your
Marcus.
If I had to give it a score, man, I'm going to give it a 7. I'm going on the 7 train today. Book me a ticket.
Oh,
Holly's in the nerd room
Holly's
tonight.
a co-producer. One of these times I'll have to like bring Holly actually on the show so people
you
know
like
who she
sitting in a
is.
chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she'd like it.
No, probably
She's
not.
always in the background though.
All right, Emily, what would you give the beer?
I'm also going to give it an 8. I want to stick with my 8s.
Nice.
I'd get it again for show. Although it's weird that it's called Flesh and Blood.
It's right here too.
Yeah,
I
the
gave you
name-
convenient spots. To
Oh,
write
I
it
thought
in.
that was for the nerd play.
I guess maybe that part is.
Yeah, that's where I was
All
going.
right, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm ruining my own
I'm
show.
trying to keep track of everything for the website for later. I think I would give it like a good solid 8. I would say
Good
8.5, but it's not. I won't say it's
2.5?
amazing.
You can go 2.5.
Can you tell me what
I
like
don't
your
even
number
think-
10 beer is? I want to know what
It
I'm
doesn't
missing.
exist yet.
It doesn't exist.
What's your highest rated beer? So
Ooh, we
far?
have to look at the list. I think it's a 9.5.
For what?
I don't know off the top of my head.
What about
Go
you?
to
All
the
right,
website.
what-
please.
8.25.
There's a beer
I'm
list
going
on the website. Please go check it out.
Right. What is it, Marcus? What's the website?
Flesh and Blood
Nerdbuzzed.com.
IPA.
Nice.
Make it
I am
easy on you.
giving 8.25.
You're giving this okay.
So my mentality on the score is that nothing ever deserves a 10 because that's why it's called the unicorn.
You would have to just stop the show.
It's like,
if
yeah,
you-
it's
right?
just done.
Why would you ever
Why
drink
would we
another
drink
beer,
anything
right?
else?
Or why would I ever play another game, right?
or
Anytime
watch another movie.
Yeah, right? Anytime anybody ever gives something a 10, I always think it's like
I'm never gonna watch another movie then, because Fifth Element's obviously a 10. Like, should I just stop now?
I love that you say that.
Yeah.
I have such a man crush on Bruce Willis. He's right up there.
He's awesome. And Mila Jovovich, she's badass.
She is.
Speaking of badass women,
Yeah.
Mila Jovovich.
Which I think is a way better representation of her than anything else. Like, I don't care about
Underworld.
Resident Evils or any of that stuff.
Underworld.
Resident Evil. Yeah, so you do it, right? Beer's affecting us all. So, should we do the toast? Let's end the show.
Yeah, that's Kate Beckinsale. Sorry.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Way to pull yourself out. I'm glad you did it before we ended.
Way to
Thanks,
save
Sarah.
yourself.
We all respect you again.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I know shit. Stuff.
So, yeah, that's all right. Right back in, just so you know. So, now that we're all buzzed, one last time, to all the nerds.
Through all the fuzz. Bottoms up. Let's get nerd buzzed.
Thank you, ladies. Thanks for
Talking
joining me.
about beer, talking about nerd culture. You're on Nerdbuzzed.
We're gonna down them together.
Oh, okay.
Marcus and Jeremiah. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.